I'm going to start off with Let's Go Pikachu, of course. So basically how shiny Pokemon works in this game is that there are Pokemon that spawn in the overworld. So that way, unlike the older games, you don't have to, walk into grass, look for an exclamation point, and then boom, you're suddenly a new encounter. That's not how that works in that game. So, first of all, shiny Pokemon actually can spawn in the overworld. If you find a shiny, its color will appear and you'll see like shiny sparkles around it. That lets you know that that is a shiny. Kind of like in some of the other hunts I did, where, the Pokemon will spawn its shiny color with the shiny sparkles over it. That lets you know. But the real question is, how do you get these shinies? Well, that's simple. The catch combo. So how the catch combo works is that if you find a targeted Pokemon, and you catch that same species over and over again, there's this thing called the catch combo. And that will suddenly get to, increase your shiny odds, stuff like that. So, and speaking of the catch combo, the shiny charm. If you complete the Pokedex in the game, you will end up with the shiny charm. And what the shiny charm does, it will boost your chances of finding a shiny. Before I forget, here are the overall shiny odds. I know, right? Here's the thing, though. If you complete the Pokedex and get the shiny charm, your shiny odds will go down from 1,496 to 1 in 1,365. And that is, like, a lot, right? Plus, there is this thing called a lure. When you use a lure while you're shiny hunting, it'll make more Pokemon spawn, which will also increase your shiny odds of finding a shiny. Plus, with the shiny charm, you have way more boosted odds than normal. Which means, if you get a catch combo of 31 or more, your max odds are 1 in 273. But, however, if you catch more of the same Pokemon after the catch combo of 31, your shiny odds will actually increase. That's in every spawn, that Pokemon will have boosted odds of finding a shiny. Now, will it work every time? I don't think so. But, however, if you upgrade a little bit, eventually when you get more into the game, you'll eventually find max lures, which you can buy in the shop. And that'll increase your shiny odds even more. However, there are ways that your catch combo chain can break. There are only 3 ways that your catch combo can break. If 1, you completely exit out of the game. 2, you catch a different species of Pokemon. Or 3, if the Pokemon runs away. That will tend to break the catch combo chain you were working on earlier. I'm going to go over these things step by step first. First of all, let's talk about the lures. So, the lure, yes, it does increase your shiny odds, but here's how it works. If you use a lure while you're doing the catch combo, your odds will be 1 in 2,048. But if you have the shiny charm and you're using a lure, those odds will be put down to 1 in 1,024. And now let me go to despawns. Despawns are when a Pokemon disappears or naturally despawns out of the game. That means the next Pokemon that'll spawn will potentially have increased chances of being a shiny. And if you despawn Pokemon over and over again, you have even way more boosted odds of finding a shiny. And those are all the facts that I can give you for the Let's Go franchise. Oh, and one more tip. Save the game before you go for a shiny. I have failed several shinies in the past without saving, and even though I managed to reclaim them, that's still such an embarrassing, thing to not accomplish. So yes, be sure to save the game before you go running towards a shiny. Now let's go on to a game where I think I have like the most shinies on the Nintendo Switch. Legends Arceus. Alright, so how this basically works. Just like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it's the same 1 out of 4,096 for, the shiny odds. However, there is a little twist with the shiny Pokemon in this game. It is an overworld game after all, just like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. But this time, it's a little different with the shinies. if you find a shiny, there aren't going to be, shiny sparkles floating around it. You will either hear this shiny, or if you just look at the Pokemon, then there are stars that, bounce around the Pokemon. That lets you know that there's a shiny. Of course, if you are flying in the air or if you're nowhere near the shiny, you'll still be able to hear the shiny noise, so just in case, situations like that ever happen. Okay, so getting the shiny charm in this game is actually going to make you do a little bit more work. Even if you, catch all the Pokemon, complete the Pokédex, you won't get the shiny charm right away. You actually have to do a little bit more work. There's these things called research levels for each and every individual Pokemon. You have to get to a research level of 10 of every single Pokemon to obtain the shiny charm from the professor. Now, yes, it's going to take a long time, but you'll get the shiny charm out of it, stuff like that. And here's the thing. It does indeed boost your shiny odds. Let me tell you about something that was not introduced in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, mass outbreaks. Now, if you've played Pokemon games in the past, you know that some of those games don't even have mass outbreaks of Pokemon. But luckily, this was introduced in Legends Arceus. How this works is that if you go to exit the gates of Jubilife Village, you will see like a Pokemon icon on the screen that lets you know that there's a mass outbreak of that Pokemon. And so, with the massive mass outbreaks, of course, you will have indeed a chance of finding a shiny, because usually, how do I explain this? In a mass outbreak, there are up to 4 Pokemon that can spawn at a time. If you defeat them, more will spawn, and I believe each individual Pokemon have chances of being a shiny. Which means, it could make shiny hunting much more easier. But I will say, this game is broken with shinies. I mean, the crap ton of shinies I've caught in the past is literally delusional. Like, I know it may be hard to believe, but still. Now let me introduce you to massive mass outbreaks. Once you get into a certain point in the game, there will be a cutscene with Mai and Munchlax. And so Munchlax will start having these visions of, rain falling, and a mass outbreak of Zorua. This introduces you to massive mass outbreaks, which means if you exit the village and look on the map, and you see an icon with a question mark on it, that lets you know that is a massive mass outbreak, which means you have dozens or maybe even hundreds of chances of finding a shiny. Maybe not that much, but you know what I mean. At first, you might have to go to every individual spot to, see what Pokemon is. But that's what Egloff bears it for. On the map of the massive mass outbreaks, if you find an outbreak with like a berry icon glowing next to it, that means that outbreak of Pokemon will drop Egloff berries, which can be used. If you have 5 Egloff berries, you can run up to Mai and use those Egloff berries to, have Munchlax do something that'll show all of the different outbreaks in that region for you. So that way you don't have to fly over and do each individual one by one. However, unfortunately, there are, lower odds. So, in a mass outbreak, the highest percentage you can get is 1 out of 128. With the Research 10 and the Shiny Charm and all that, for a mass outbreak. However, it is slightly different. With Research level 10 and the Shiny Charm, of course, it is 1 out of 216, so you have lower odds of finding a shiny. And out of my personal opinion, I would say that this might be one of the best games to shiny hunt in, because, the broken odds. But yes, this is one game that you should definitely try shiny hunt for, and that's all I have for Legends Arceus. Let's move on to the recent Pokemon game that came out. Yes, Scarlet and Violet. This game has introduced, I believe, in my personal opinion, the best way to shiny hunt Pokemon. The auto battle. Unlike Let's Go and Legends Arceus, if you press the R button, you can send out your Pokemon to attack the Pokemon for you. And there is a super extremely helpful thing that's added in the game. Your Pokemon cannot attack shiny Pokemon in auto battle. If you saw in some of my recent shiny hunts, you will see that if a Pokemon, is about to attack shiny, it won't attack. And that lets you know that there's a shiny right in front of you. Which means that, your Pokemon have not killed a shiny, and all that hard work you took is finally paid off. And yes, mass outbreaks have indeed returned in this game, especially with like the new Pokemon that were added to, the Gen 9 Pokedex and all that. And since it is such a bigger map, the possibilities are almost endless. Let me tell you about one of the weirdest ways to improve your shiny odds: making a sandwich. Now, I know you might be thinking that's probably like the stupidest way to do it, but here's the thing. How exactly do you increase your shiny odds? Herba Mystica. Something new that was added in Scarlet and Violet, where if you beat a 5-star raid, you have a chance to get Herba Mystica. But there's only one Herba Mystica that increases shiny odds: Salty Herba Mystica. However, there was a feature in the new Teal Mask DLC. If you go to a certain area of the map, I don't remember what it is, you'll find this guy next to a tablecloth. If you walk up to him and talk to him, he'll ask you to get him different types of tablecloths. You can find a few in some of the different parts of the map, like Mesagoska, Cascaratha, those places. And then there is one more you need to get. And that is, the Olive Challenge back in whatever the city's name is. If you manage to get a time of under 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you will receive the last cloth you need. And if you give all the tablecloths to the man at the table, you will get a set of Herba Mystica, which will include the salty Herba Mystica you will need for the shiny hunts. And the way to get the shiny charms is simple as normal: clean the Pokedex. However, just like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, there are game exclusives, which means you might need to do some trading involved or something. Especially the new Paradox Pokemon they have released, like the Iron Pokemon and the Prehistoric Pokemon, stuff like that. You will also need those Pokemon to get the shiny charm, of course. And the best way to, get, like, a certain type of shiny you want is by making a sandwich that increases, the boosted odds of that Pokemon's certain type. So, here's what I would like to do. So, I'll do Dragon. That's, like, the only one I can remember. All you need to make a Dragon sandwich is you need a helping of avocado, you need a salty Herba Mystica, and a spicy Herba Mystica. Forming that into a sandwich will increase the shiny odds of Dragon-type Pokemon, which could be used to hunt, like, for, Applin and all those small Dragon-type Pokemon. And that is, like, the sandwich method. Let me go back to the mass outbreaks just a little bit. So, as you all know, mass outbreaks, yes, they're a better chance of finding a shiny. However, instead of catching Pokemon, you can defeat them to raise your shiny odds. Now, to get the full amount of odds that you can, you'd have to defeat 60 or more Pokemon in that same outbreak. So, for example, let's say you found, like, a Psyduck outbreak. If you beat, like, 60 plus Psyducks in battle, auto battle that is, much, much easier, shiny odds will increase, of course, and you may or may not end up with a shiny Psyduck. And now let me tell you about the Masuda method. Yep, the Masuda method. This is a method that, yes, involves a Ditto from another regional part of the world. So, let's say, for example, you want a shiny hunt for Pokemon. You want a regional Ditto available and, like, a trade, That will increase your shiny odds for breeding by a lot. If you've ever played Pokemon Sword and Shield as well, you'll also know that the Masuda method was, in fact, a huge part of breeding shinies in that game. Which obviously meant, getting, like, game exclusives, like the starter, Applin, all them stuff. So, yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about. Well, everyone, that's all I have for shiny odds on those 3 games. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any more videos just like this in the future. I will see you next time in another